My name is Frances Townsend, and I am 22 years old. 2 weeks ago, I stood on a graduation stage in front of 3,000 people while my parents sat in the front row with their faces drained of all color. They came to watch my twin sister graduate. They had no idea I was even there. They certainly did not know I would be the one giving the keynote speech. But this story does not begin at graduation. It begins 4 years earlier in my parents' living room when my father looked me straight in the eyes and said something I will never forget. The acceptance letters arrived on the same Tuesday afternoon in April. Victoria got into Whitmore University, a prestigious private school with a price tag of $65,000 a year. I got into Eastbrook State, a solid public university, $25,000 annually. Still expensive, but manageable. That evening, Dad called a family meeting in the living room. Mom sat on the couch, hands folded. Victoria stood by the window, already glowing with anticipation. I sat across from Dad, still clutching my acceptance letter. "Victoria," Dad began, "we will cover your full tuition at Whitmore. Room, board, everything." Victoria squealed. Mom smiled. Then Dad turned to me. "Frances, we have decided not to fund your education." The words did not register at first. Victoria has leadership potential. She networks well. She will build connections. It is an investment that makes sense. He paused. "You are smart, Frances, but you are not special. There is no return on investment with you." I looked at Mom. She would not meet my eyes. I looked at Victoria. She was already texting someone. "Just figure it out yourself," Dad shrugged. "You are resourceful. You will manage." That night I did not cry. I had cried enough over the years, over missed birthdays, hand-me-down gifts, being cropped out of family photos. Instead, I sat in my room and realized something that changed everything. To my parents, I was not their daughter. I was a bad investment. The favoritism had always been there, woven into the fabric of our family like an ugly pattern everyone pretended not to see. When we turned 16, Victoria got a brand new Honda Civic with a red bow on top. I got her old laptop, the one with a cracked screen and a battery that lasted 40 minutes. We cannot afford 2 cars, Mom had said. But they could afford Victoria's ski trips, her designer prom dress, her summer abroad in Spain. Family vacations were the worst. Victoria always got her own hotel room. I slept on pull-out couches in hallways. Once even in a closet that the resort called a cozy nook. In every family photo, Victoria stood center frame glowing. I was always at the edge, sometimes partially cut off, like an afterthought. A few months before the college decision, I found Mom's phone unlocked on the kitchen counter. A text thread with Aunt Linda was open. I should not have read it, but I did. "Poor Frances," Mom had written. "But Harold is right. She does not stand out. We have to be practical." I put the phone down and walked away. That night, I made a decision I told no one about. Not because I wanted revenge, but because I wanted to prove something to myself. I opened my cracked laptop with the dying battery and typed into the search bar, "full scholarships for independent students." I did the math at 2 a.m. sitting on my bedroom floor. Eastbrook State, $25,000 per year. For years, $100,000. Parents' contribution, 0. My savings from summer jobs, $2,300. The gap was staggering. If I could not close it, every path led to the same place, becoming exactly what my father said I was. The failure. The bad investment. The twin who did not make it. I scrolled through scholarship databases until my eyes burned. Most required recommendations, essays, proof of financial need. Then I found Eastbrook's Merit Scholarship Program for first-generation and independent students. Full tuition coverage plus a living stipend. The catch? Only 5 students per year were selected. Then I saw the name that would eventually change my life. The Whitfield Scholarship. Full ride, $10,000 annually for living expenses, awarded to only 20 students nationwide. I laughed out loud. 20 students in the entire country. What chance did I have? But I bookmarked it anyway. I had 2 choices. Accept the life my parents designed for me or design my own. I chose the second. I filled an entire notebook that summer. Every page was a calculation. Job 1. Barista at the Morning Grind Campus Cafe, 5 to 8 a.m., $800 a month. Job 2, cleaning crew for residence halls, weekends only, $400 a month. Job 3, teaching assistant for the economics department, $300 a month. Total, $1,500 a month, roughly $18,000 a year. Still $7,000 short of tuition. That gap would have to come from scholarships, merit-based ones, the kind you earn, not the kind you are handed. I found the cheapest housing option within walking distance of campus. A tiny room in a house shared with 4 other students. $300 a month, utilities included. No parking, no AC, no privacy. My schedule crystallized into something brutal but precise. 5 a.m., work at the cafe. 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., classes. 6 p.m. to 10 p.m., study or TA duties. Sleep, 11 p.m. to 4 a.m. 4 to 5 hours a night for 4 years. The week before I left, Victoria posted photos from her Cancun trip with friends, sunset beaches, laughter. I was packing my thrift store comforter into a second-hand suitcase. Freshman year Thanksgiving. I sat alone in my tiny rented room, phone pressed to my ear, listening to the sounds of home. Laughter in the background, the clink of dishes, the warm chaos of a family gathering I was not part of. Hello, Francis. Mom's voice was distant, distracted. Is Dad there? Can I talk to him? A pause. Then I heard his voice in the background, muffled but clear. Tell her I am busy. Mom's voice returned, artificially bright. Your father is just in the middle of something. Victoria was telling the funniest story. It is fine, Mom. Are you eating enough? Do you need anything? I looked around my room at the instant ramen on my desk, at the second-hand blanket, at the textbook I had borrowed from the library, because I could not afford to buy it. No, Mom. I do not need anything. I hung up. Then I opened Facebook. The first thing in my feed was a photo Victoria had just posted. Mom, Dad, and Victoria at the dining table. Candles lit. Turkey gleaming. The caption read, "Thankful for my amazing family." I zoomed in on the photo. 3 place settings. 3 chairs, not 4. They had not even set a place for me. I sat there for a long time staring at that image. Something shifted inside me that night. The ache I had carried for years, the longing for their approval, their attention, their love, it did not disappear, but it changed. It hollowed out. And where the pain used to be, there was only quiet emptiness. Strangely, that emptiness gave me something the pain never had. Clarity. Second semester, freshman year. Microeconomics 101. Dr. Margaret Smith was legendary at Eastbrook. 30 years of teaching, published in every major journal. Students whispered that she had not given an A in 5 years. I sat in the 3rd row, took meticulous notes, and turned in my first essay, expecting a B- at best. The paper came back with an A+ at the top and a note in red ink. See me after class. After the lecture, I approached her desk. Frances Townsend. Yes, ma'am. Sit down. She looked at me over her glasses. This essay is one of the best pieces of undergraduate writing I have seen in 20 years. Where did you study before this? Nowhere special. Public high school. And your family? My family does not support my education, financially or otherwise. The words came out before I could stop them. Dr. Smith set down her pen. Tell me more. So I did. For the first time, I told someone the whole story. The favoritism, the rejection, the 3 jobs, the 4 hours of sleep, all of it. When I finished, she was quiet for a long moment. Have you heard of the Whitfield Scholarship? I nodded slowly. 20 students nationwide, she said. Full ride, living stipend, and the recipients at partner schools give the commencement address at graduation. She leaned forward. Frances, you have extraordinary potential, but potential means nothing if no one sees it. Let me help you be seen. The next 2 years blurred into a relentless rhythm. Wake at 4 a.m., coffee shop by 5, classes by 9, library until midnight, sleep, repeat. I missed every party, every football game, every late-night pizza run. While other students built memories, I built a GPA. 4.0, 6 semesters straight. There were moments I almost broke. Once I fainted during a shift at the cafe. Exhaustion, the doctor said. Dehydration. I was back at work the next day. Another time I sat in a borrowed car and cried for 20 minutes. Not because anything specific had happened, just because everything had happened all at once for years. Junior year, Dr. Smith called me into her office. I am nominating you for the Whitfield. You're serious? 10 essays, 3 rounds of interviews. It will be the hardest thing you have ever done. She paused. But you have already survived harder. The application consumed 3 months of my life. Essays about resilience, leadership, vision. Phone interviews with panels of professors. Background checks. Reference letters. Somewhere in the middle of it, Victoria texted me for the first time in months. Mom says you do not come home for Christmas anymore. That is kind of sad. I read the message. Then I put my phone face down and went back to my essay. The truth was I could not afford a plane ticket. But even if I could, I was not sure I wanted to go. That Christmas, I sat alone in my rented room with a cup of instant noodles and a tiny paper Christmas tree my friend Rebecca had made me. No family, no presents, no drama. It was somehow the most peaceful holiday I had ever had. The email arrived at 6:47 a.m. on a Tuesday in senior year. Subject: Whitfield Foundation. Final round notification. Dear Miss Townsend, congratulations. Out of 200 applicants, you have been selected as one of 50 finalists for the Whitfield Scholarship. The final round will consist of an in-person interview at our New York headquarters. 50 finalists, 20 winners. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely scroll. The interview was scheduled for a Friday in New York, 800 miles away. I checked my bank account. $847. A last-minute flight would cost $400 minimum. A hotel would eat the rest. And I had rent due in 2 weeks. I was about to close the laptop when Rebecca knocked on my door. Frankie, you look like you saw a ghost. I showed her the email. She screamed. Literally screamed. You are going, she said. End of discussion. Beck, I cannot afford. Bus ticket, $53. Leaves Thursday night. Arrives Friday morning. I will lend you the money. I cannot ask you to. You are not asking. I am telling. She grabbed my shoulders. Frankie, this is your shot. You do not get another one. So I took the bus. 8 hours overnight. I arrived in Manhattan at 5 a.m. with a stiff neck and a borrowed blazer from the thrift store. The interview waiting room was full of polished candidates, designer bags, parents hovering nearby, easy confidence. I looked down at my second-hand outfit, my scuffed shoes. I do not belong here, I thought. Then I remembered Dr. Smith's words. You do not need to belong. You need to show them you deserve to. 2 weeks after the interview, I was walking to my morning shift when my phone buzzed. Subject: Whitfield Scholarship. Decision. I stopped in the middle of the sidewalk. A cyclist swerved around me cursing. I did not hear him. Dear Miss Townsend, we are pleased to inform you that you have been selected as a Whitfield Scholar for the class of 2025. I read it 3 times, then a 4th. Then I sat down on the curb and cried. Not quiet tears. Ugly, heaving sobs that made strangers stare. 3 years of exhaustion, loneliness, and grinding determination poured out of me right there on the sidewalk outside the morning grind. That night, Dr. Smith called me personally. Francis, I just got the notification. I am so proud of you. Thank you for everything. There is something else, she said. The Whitfield allows you to transfer to a partner school for your final year. Whitmore University is on the list. Whitmore. Victoria's school. If you transfer, Dr. Smith continued, you would graduate with their top honors, and the Whitfield Scholar delivers the commencement speech. My breath caught. Francis, you would be valedictorian. You would speak at graduation in front of everyone. I thought about my parents sitting in the audience for Victoria's big day, completely unaware I was there. I am not doing this for revenge, I said quietly. I know. I am doing it because Whitmore has the better program for my career. I know that too. She paused. But if they happen to see you shine, that is just a bonus. I made my decision that night and told no one in my family. 3 weeks into my final semester at Whitmore, it happened. I was in the library, 3rd floor, tucked into a corner with my constitutional law textbook, when I heard a voice that made my stomach drop. Oh my God, Francis. I looked up. Victoria stood 3 feet away, a half-empty iced latte in her hand, mouth hanging open. What are you? How are you? She could not form a complete sentence. I closed my book calmly. Hi, Victoria. You go here? Since when? Mom and Dad did not say. Mom and Dad do not know. She blinked. What do you mean they do not know? Exactly what I said. They do not know I am here. But how? They are not paying. I mean, how did you? I paid for it myself. I transferred on scholarship. The word hung between us. Victoria's expression shifted. Confusion, disbelief, and something that looked almost like shame. Why did you not tell anyone? I looked at her. My twin sister. The one who had gotten everything I had been denied. The one who had never asked, not once in 4 years, how I was surviving. Did you ever ask? She opened her mouth and closed it. I need to get to class, I said, gathering my books. Francis, wait. She grabbed my arm. Do you hate us? I looked at her hand on my sleeve, then at her face. No, I said quietly. You cannot hate people you have stopped caring about. I pulled my arm free and walked away. That night, my phone lit up with missed calls from Mom, Dad, and Victoria. I silenced them all. Victoria called them immediately. She told me later. She is here, Victoria had said. Francis is at Whitmore. She has been here since September. The silence on the other end lasted a full 10 seconds. Then Dad's voice. That is impossible. She does not have the money. She said scholarship. What scholarship? She is not scholarship material. Dad called me the next morning. First time he had dialed my number in 3 years. Francis, we need to talk. About what? Victoria says you are at Whitmore. You transferred without telling us. I did not think you would care. A pause. Of course I care. You are my daughter. Am I? The words came out flat. Not bitter. Just factual. You told me I was not worth the investment. Remember that? Silence. Francis, that was 4 years ago in the living room. You said I was not special, that there was no return on investment with me. I do not remember saying. I do. More silence. We should discuss this in person. We are coming for Victoria's ceremony. I know, I said. I will see you there, Dad. I hung up. He did not call back. That night, I sat in my small apartment, the one I had paid for myself with money I had earned, and thought about that conversation. He did not remember, or he chose not to remember. Either way, he had never actually seen me. Not really. But in 3 months he would. And when that moment came, it would not be because I forced him to look. It would be because he could not look away. The weeks before graduation became a strange kind of quiet. I knew they were coming. Mom, Dad, Victoria, the whole perfect family unit descending on campus to celebrate Victoria's achievement. They had booked a hotel, planned a dinner, ordered flowers for her. They still did not know the full picture. Victoria had told them I was at Whitmore, but she did not know about the Whitfield. She did not know about the valedictorian honor. She did not know I had been asked to deliver the commencement address. Do you want me to notify your family about the speech? Dr. Smith asked when she called to check in. No. I want them to hear it when everyone else does. Rebecca drove up for the ceremony. She helped me pick out a dress, the first new piece of clothing I had bought in 2 years that was not from a thrift store. Navy blue, simple, elegant. You look like a CEO, she said. I feel like I am going to throw up. Same thing, probably. The night before graduation, I could not sleep. I kept wondering what I would feel when I saw them. Would the old pain come rushing back? Would I want them to hurt the way I had hurt? I stared at the ceiling until 3 a.m. searching for answers. What I found surprised me. I did not want revenge. I did not want them to suffer. I just wanted to be free. And tomorrow, one way or another, I would be. Graduation morning, May 17th. Bright sun, perfect blue sky. Whitmore Stadium seated 3,000. By 9 a.m., it was nearly full. Families poured through the gates, flowers and balloons everywhere, the hum of excited conversation filling the air. I arrived early, slipping in through the faculty entrance. My regalia was different from the other graduates. Standard black gown, yes, but across my shoulders lay the gold sash of Valedictorian. Pinned to my chest was the Whitfield Scholar Medallion, its bronze surface catching the morning light. I took my seat in the VIP section at the front of the stage. 20 feet away in the general graduate section, Victoria was taking selfies with her friends. She had not seen me yet. And in the front row of the audience, dead center, best seats in the house, sat my parents. Dad wore his navy suit, the one he saved for important occasions. Mom had on a cream-colored dress, a massive bouquet of roses in her lap. Between them sat an empty chair, probably reserved for coats and purses. Not for me. Never for me. Dad was fiddling with his camera, adjusting settings, preparing to capture Victoria's moment. Mom was smiling, waving at someone across the aisle. They looked so happy, so proud. They had no idea. The university president approached the podium. The crowd hushed. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Whitmore University's Class of 2025 commencement ceremony. Applause, cheers. I sat perfectly still, hands folded in my lap. In a few minutes, they would call my name and everything would change. I looked once more at my parents, at their expectant faces, their cameras ready for Victoria's shining moment. The ceremony proceeded through welcome addresses, acknowledgments, honorary degrees, the usual pageantry that stretches time like taffy. Then the university president returned to the podium. And now it is my great honor to introduce this year's valedictorian and Whitfield Scholar. In the audience, my mother leaned over to whisper something to my father. He nodded, adjusting his camera lens, pointing it at Victoria. A student who has demonstrated extraordinary resilience, academic excellence, and strength of character. Please join me in welcoming Frances Townsend. For one suspended moment, nothing happened. Then I stood. 3,000 pairs of eyes turned toward me. I walked toward the podium, my heels clicking against the stage floor, the gold sash swaying with each step. The Whitfield medallion gleamed against my chest. In the front row, I watched my parents' faces transform. Dad's hand froze on his camera. Mom's bouquet slipped sideways. Confusion first. Then recognition. Then shock. Then nothing but pale, stricken silence. Victoria's head snapped toward the stage. Her jaw dropped. I saw her mouth my name. Frances. I reached the podium, adjusted the microphone. 3,000 people applauded. My parents did not. They just sat there frozen as if someone had pressed pause on their entire world. For the first time in my life, they were looking at me. Really looking. Not at Victoria. Not through me. At me. I let the applause fade. Then I leaned into the microphone. Good morning, everyone. My voice was steady, calm. For years ago, I was told I was not worth the investment. In the front row, my mother's hand flew to her mouth. Dad's camera hung useless at his side. I was told I did not have what it takes. I was told to expect less from myself because others expected less from me. So I learned to expect more. I spoke about the 3 jobs, the 4 hours of sleep, the instant ramen dinners, the second-hand textbooks. I spoke about what it meant to build something from nothing. Not because you wanted to prove anyone wrong, but because you needed to prove yourself right. I did not name names. I did not point fingers. I did not need to. The greatest gift I received was not financial support or encouragement. It was the chance to discover who I am without anyone's validation. To anyone who has ever been told you are not enough, I paused, letting the words settle. You are. You always have been. I looked out at the sea of faces, at the other graduates who had struggled, at the friends who had believed, and yes, at my own family sitting in the front row like statues. I am not here because someone believed in me. I am here because I learned to believe in myself. The applause that followed was thunderous. People rose to their feet. 3,000 people gave a standing ovation for a girl they had never met. The reception area buzzed with champagne and congratulations. I was shaking hands with the dean when I saw them approaching. My parents moving through the crowd like they were wading through water. Dad reached me first. Frances, his voice was hoarse. Why did you not tell us? I accepted a glass of sparkling water from a passing server and took a sip. Did you ever ask? He opened his mouth and closed it. Mom arrived beside him, mascara streaked down her cheeks. Baby, I am so sorry. We did not know. You knew, I kept my voice even. You chose not to see. That is not fair. Dad started. Fair? The word came out calm, not sharp. You told me I was not worth investing in. You paid $250,000 for Victoria's education and told me to figure it out myself. That is what happened. Mom reached for me. I stepped back. I am not angry, I said, and I meant it. The anger had burned away years ago, replaced by something cleaner. But I am not the same person who left your house 4 years ago. Dad's jaw tightened. I made a mistake. I said things I should not have. You said what you believed. I met his eyes. You were right about one thing, though. I was not worth the investment. Not to you. But I was worth every sacrifice I made for myself. He flinched like I had struck him. James Whitfield III appeared at my elbow, extending his hand. Miss Townsend, brilliant speech. The foundation is proud to have you. I shook his hand while my parents watched. The founder of one of the nation's most prestigious scholarships treating their worthless daughter like a treasure. I saw it hit them then. The full weight of what they had missed, what they had thrown away. After Mr. Whitfield moved on, I turned back to my parents. They looked smaller somehow, diminished. I am not going to pretend everything is fine, I said, because it is not. Francis, please, Mom whispered. Can we just talk as a family? We are talking. I mean really talk. Come home for the summer. Let us make this right. No. The word was firm but not harsh. I have a job in New York. I start in 2 weeks. I will not be coming home. Dad stepped forward. You're cutting us off just like that? I am setting boundaries. There is a difference. What do you want from us? His voice cracked. For the first time in my life, I saw my father look lost. Tell me what you want, and I will do it. I considered the question. Really considered it. I do not want anything from you anymore. That is the point. I took a breath. But if you want to talk, really talk, you can call me. I might answer. It depends on whether you are calling to apologize or to make yourself feel better. Mom was crying again. We love you, Francis. We have always loved you. Maybe, I said. But love is not just words. It is choices. And you made yours. Victoria appeared at the edge of our circle, hovering uncertainly. Francis, she hesitated. Congratulations. Thank you. No hug, no tearful reconciliation, but no cruelty either. I will call you sometime, I told her. I would like that, she said, eyes wet. I turned and walked away. Not running. Not escaping. Just moving forward. Dr. Smith was waiting by the exit, a quiet smile on her face. You did well, she said. I am free, I replied. And for the first time in my life, I meant it. The ripple started before my parents even left campus. At the reception, I watched the slow realization spread through the crowd of family, friends, and acquaintances. Mrs. Patterson from the country club approached my mother. Diane, I did not know Francis went to Whitmore. Whitfield Scholar. You must be so proud. My mother's smile looked like it hurt. Yes, we are very proud. How on earth did you keep it a secret? If my daughter won that, I would have it on billboards. My mother did not have an answer. Over the following weeks, the questions multiplied. Dad's business partners asked about me. Saw your daughter's speech online. Incredible story. You must have really pushed her to excel. He could not tell them the truth. That he had done the opposite. Victoria called me 3 days after graduation. Mom has not stopped crying. Dad barely talks. He just sits there. I am sorry to hear that. Are you? I thought about it. I do not want them to suffer. But I am not responsible for their feelings. Silence on the line. Francis, I am sorry. I should have asked. I should have paid attention. I was so wrapped up in my own stuff. I was oblivious. You had no reason to notice. I paused. Neither of us chose the way they raised us, but we can choose what happens next. Do you hate me? No. And I meant it. I do not have the energy to hate anyone. I just want to move forward. Can we maybe get coffee sometime? Start over? I thought about my sister, the girl who had gotten everything and still ended up empty-handed in a different way. Yeah, I said. I would like that. 2 months after graduation, I stood in my new apartment in Manhattan. It was small, a studio really, one window overlooking a brick wall, kitchen the size of a closet. But it was mine. I had signed the lease with money from my first paycheck at Morrison and Associates, one of the top financial consulting firms in the city. Rebecca visited the following weekend. She walked into my studio, looked around, and declared it exactly as small and depressing as expected. Then she hugged me so hard I could not breathe. "You did it, Frankie. You actually did it." One evening, I found a letter in my mailbox, handwritten, 3 pages, my mother's looping script. "Dear Francis, I do not expect you to forgive us. I am not sure I would if I were you." She wrote about regret, about the 1,000 small ways she had failed me, about watching me on that stage and realizing she had been looking at a stranger who was also her daughter. "I know I cannot undo what happened, but I want you to know I see you now. I see who you have become. And I am so sorry I did not see you sooner." I read the letter twice. Then I folded it carefully and put it in my desk drawer. I did not reply. Not yet. Not because I was punishing her, but because I needed time to figure out what I wanted to say. For once, the choice was mine. 6 months after graduation, my phone rang. Dad. I almost let it go to voicemail. Almost. "Hello, Francis." His voice sounded different. Tired. "Thank you for picking up. I was not sure you would." Silence then. "I deserve that." I waited. "I have been thinking every day since graduation, trying to figure out what to say to you." He paused. "I keep coming up empty." "Then just say what is true." Another long pause. "I was wrong. Not just about the money, about everything. The way I treated you, the things I said, the years I did not call, did not ask." His voice cracked. "I have no excuse. I was your father and I failed you." "I hear you," I said finally. "That is all. I thought maybe you would tell me how to fix this." "It is not my job to tell you how to fix what you broke." "You are right." He sounded older than I had ever heard him. "You are absolutely right. But if you want to try, I am willing to let you." "You are?" "I am not promising anything. No family dinners, no pretending everything is fine. But if you want to have a real conversation, honest, no deflecting, I will listen." "That is more than I deserve." "Yes, it is." He laughed. A small broken sound. "You have always been the strong one, Francis. I was just too blind to see it." "Yeah," I said. "You were." We talked for a few more minutes. Nothing profound. Just two people trying to find common ground across years of wreckage. It was not forgiveness, but it was a start. It has been 2 years since graduation. I am still in New York, still at Morrison and Associates, though I have been promoted twice. I am starting my MBA this fall, paid for by my company. The girl who ate ramen and slept 4 hours a night would hardly recognize me now, but I have not forgotten her. I carry her with me every day. Victoria and I meet for coffee once a month. It is awkward sometimes, 2 sisters learning to be adults together, which is strange because we never really were sisters as kids. But she is trying. I can see that. "I am sorry I did not see it," she told me at our last coffee date. "All those years I was so focused on what I was getting. I never asked what you were not." "I know. How do you not hate me for that?" "Because you did not create the system. You just benefited from it." My parents came to visit last month. First time in New York. It was uncomfortable, stilted. Dad spent half the time apologizing. Mom spent the other half crying. But they came. They showed up at my door, in my city, in the life I built without them. That meant something. I am not ready to call us a family again. That word carries too much weight, too much history. But we are something. Working on something. Last month, I wrote a check to the Eastbrook State Scholarship Fund. $10,000, anonymous, for students without family financial support. Rebecca cried when I told her. "Frankie, you are literally changing someone's life." Someone changed mine. I used to think love was something you earned. That if I was smart enough, good enough, successful enough, my parents would finally see me. For years of struggle taught me something different. You cannot make someone love you the right way. You cannot earn what should have been given freely. At some point, you have to notice your own worth yourself. My parents' rejection did not break me. It rebuilt me. The girl who sat in that living room 4 years ago, desperate for her father's approval, she does not exist anymore. In her place is a woman who knows exactly what she is worth and does not need anyone else to validate it. Some nights I still think about them. About the family dinners I was not invited to. The Christmas photos without my face. The $250,000 they spent on my sister while I ate ramen in a rented room. It still hurts sometimes. I do not think it ever stops hurting completely. But the hurt does not control me anymore. Forgiveness is not about letting someone off the hook. It is about releasing your own grip on the pain. I am not there yet. Not fully. But I am working on it. And for the first time in my life, I am working on it for me. If you have ever been overlooked, underestimated, or told you were not good enough by the people who were supposed to love you most, hear this. They were wrong. They were always wrong. Your worth is not determined by who sees it. It is not a number on a check or a seat at a table or a place in a photo. Your worth exists whether or not a single person on this planet acknowledges it. You do not need your parents, your siblings, or anyone else to confirm what you already know. You are enough. You always have been.